Hey, Q2C, how's it going tonight? It is Thursday night, time for our Thursday night live chats. I hope everybody's doing great. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us and being around for this. We have some exciting, cool stuff to do tonight. And what's going on, Nick? How you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. How's everybody else doing tonight? Just has everybody seen the new merchandise we've got?
Yeah, look at that. That's so cool, man. I love it.
Love showing this
so
stuff
good.
off. yeah,
yeah,
it's great. It's comfortable.
Yeah,
I'm doing
it is.
good.
It is. Let's see the hat too. You got a hat going on there.
We got a hat.
Yeah. I'm like a proud papa with these things. I just want to show them off.
Well, they look good. That's why I'm wearing them. So
they do look good.
How are you doing tonight, Eric? We got some new guests with us tonight.
I do, yeah. We're going to talk to them in a second. Let's make sure that we're up. Are we in the announcements yet, Nick?
I'm not seeing it. I am checking. But
I did get a notification that we went live.
Okay. So yeah, just bear with us, guys. We just need to make sure that this is going out to the whole group. Todd was supposed to make sure that happened, and I just don't see it.
I see Jason Ward's here.
Jason.
You can see
oh, nice.
Hi.
What's up, Jason? How you doing, man?
Welcome to chat.
Yeah.
There it is.
Jason's one of our members that does a lot of. He actually makes gun stocks, and he's got a new thing out right now called the Mr. Toss, which is like a mini gun stock that we've been testing, and we got a review coming up soon. It is pretty amazing.
It's got some really neat stuff. Yeah. And it works pretty good too. Yeah. It's an interchangeable set of pieces that he's got. And on top of the gun stock, they can also turn into a golf club for anybody who wants to play some walkabout or that new Golf 5E club game, which is fantastic, by the way.
I love the name too. I love the name. I'm like, Jason, you got to come up with a name. And he's like, I don't have a name for it. I'm like, Jason, you need a name. He's like, how about the Mr. Toss? And I'm like, it's not exactly what I was thinking about when I said a name, but hey, I like it. It's catchy.
It works.
Yeah.
So why don't you go ahead and introduce our new friends?
Well, let me just say hi to chat, and we got about 5 people here, and then we will get to. I know they're waiting. I know you're impatient. I know. Nick has been so excited for this interview for so long. But let me just say hi to Jason. How you doing, buddy? Hi to Todd Jackson.
Welcome, Jason.
Todd Jackson's from Todd's giving me the hi diddly ho diddly. Krista's here. Krista says love the shirt. Thanks.
Thank you.
She means the Skrillex shirt, bro.
Yeah, we were behind that one.
Yeah, we were talking last week in our live chat about the new Beat Saber DLC, and that it featured Skrillex, and I'm like, who in the crap is Skrillex? I don't know who the heck Skrillex is. I've never heard of this. I'm like, does anybody know who Skrillex is? And people are like, yeah, we know who Skrillex is. And there was another developer in the group of the new game coming out called Shadowgate. His name is Dave Marsh. He's older than me. He's like, yeah, I know who Skrillex is. I got this. I'm like, hey, there's no way. I know you, and there's no way you know who Skrillex is. So he sent me this shirt. I got it like a couple of days ago. He sent me a Skrillex shirt. So thanks, Dave. Too funny.
That's great.
Too funny.
Looks like we got Justin up in the chat with us, and Krista, one of our other moderators, has joined us. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, you guys are awesome, man. Thanks for showing up. We appreciate it. But yeah, it's our Thursday live chat, and it is our interview version of the Thursday live chat, which we have been very lucky to do Carbon Studios with Age of Sigmar Warhammer Age of Sigmar Tempest Fall. And now we have another one that I'm extremely excited to do, which is for Overrun Games for the game Arcaxer. And let me introduce Aaron Lutz, right? Lutz?
That's me, yep.
Aaron Lutz, it's the one with the thumbs up. And the one who looks like Obi-Wan Kenobi, we've got Anthony Garcia.
You and Mustafa, close enough.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to it. Welcome to the show, guys.
Yeah, guys, welcome. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. This is a very cool thing that we've been able to do, which is kind of bring access to the developers in our community together, so people can get an idea of who you guys are and what you do and how you start your creative process and how you make these amazing games that we love to play. And it's nice for them to be able to put some faces and names to some of their favorite games. So why don't you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah, sure. So we're Overrun Games. We're mostly just a small team of 2 developers out of Southern California. We pretty much have one game, and it's Arcaxer, which you can play on the Oculus Quest. It's also on Steam if you like PC VR. We originally met at CSU Chico, Northern California. We were the same major together. And then after graduating, we were both kind of looking for work and said, hey, in our free time, let's just make games together. And so ever since 2015, we've been doing like hackathons and game jams and like prototyping stuff. And eventually we just started working on Arcaxer, and we liked the concept and kept iterating on it, and eventually got to where it is today.
Have you guys made any games before Arcaxer?
Yeah, actually. Yeah. So Arcaxer is kind of it's almost like the spiritual successor to a game we were working on in 2016 called Wave Magic. Wave Magic we started working on actually before like hand tracking and tracked controllers were even like widely available. So we actually prototyped it for the Leap Motion, if anybody remembers that. It was an old hand tracker you would attach to the front of your headset, and then
it worked pretty well for a $20 IR bar.
Yeah, for the time before we had things like the Vive ones, it was kind of mind blowing to actually see like, oh wow, I can actually see where my hands are in VR right now. But that was it was a little bit like Arcaxer. So we wanted to create something with a big open world that you could explore, but also took advantage of cool VR combat. So what we came up with was this third-person God view overworld, where you'd explore the overworld in third person, and then when you'd enter a battle, we had random encounters, kind of like old school RPGs like Final Fantasy, where you'd explore the overworld, you'd randomly enter an encounter, and then you'd be tossed into first person, which, for those of you that have played Arcaxer, sounds really familiar.
Yeah.
The difference
and that was in the first game too? That was part of it? Okay.
Yeah, so the difference was in Wave Magic, the battles were in real time, but they kind of just played like wave shooters. So you had the God View overworld, you'd go into combat, and then you'd kind of be in this like kind of wave shooter situation where enemies would just kind of come at you for like a minute or so until the enemy count reached 0. You'd receive experience and gold and all that good stuff, and then you'd go back to the overworld. That was cool, but at the time, in 2016, almost every VR game being released was a wave shooter. So even though we had this cool third-person overworld, the combat was still just a wave shooter with some RPG tacked on top. So eventually we stopped working on that project. It wasn't our passion anymore. A lot of people that were helping us with that fell off the team, went out to get jobs, and
we learned way too much in the process, and it was built on a foundation of bad ideas.
We were fresh out of school. I was not a programmer. Aaron was not the best artist, and the game was a little bit spaghetti.
That's the kind of way that some of these things really take shape, though, right? I mean, some of these great IPs and these great games come out of failed or not successful, first initial games or initial runs, right? Because this is where you guys cut your teeth here. This is where you learned VR. I mean, you were basically
all the things to not do.
Yeah, I mean, if you're saying 2015, this is the forefront. I mean, you were at the beginning of what we considered modern day VR. So, I mean, this was so early on. So I can imagine the amount of information that you must have learned off this first game, and we're able to pour it into Arcaxer. I mean, that's why you can see the polish in Arcaxer.
And VR is such a new area of gaming. It's only been around for, 5, 6, 7 years tops, I think. So it's a lot of trial and error just with VR in general. So I can only imagine how much trial and error it took you guys to get to the point where you're at today.
Yeah, for sure. Aaron, why don't you tell us a little about yourself and what you do with Overrun Games?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a very similar story to Anthony's. Went to Chico State. A year after we graduated, my lease was up I was looking for, somewhere to go, and Anthony said, "Why don't you move down to Orange County with me?" And I said, "Sure." And we moved into this place that I couldn't afford when I didn't have a car. So we worked on Wave Magic night and day, and eventually I got a car and some day jobs. And and so it's been just a lot of working together with Anthony and navigating life. The art style you might notice in Wave Magic, if you do go back and look at it, and also in Arcaxer, is very bright colors, very stylized stuff. I'm a big fan of like Blizzard and Riot and Nintendo, just all the stylized options that you can really pick. Disney plays a big factor into a lot of it. And Arcaxer in particular is super anime influenced because Anthony likes anime, and I have positive feelings towards some anime.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say you just got my wife's attention because you said Disney, and she's like, "What, Disney?" What?
Yeah.
So that's very cool. I mean, now can you still get Wave Magic somewhere? Is this available?
It's on Steam. You probably got about an hour and a half of gameplay in it.
Yeah, it's on Steam. It's in early access, and it will be in early access
forever.
For the rest of time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that one's not getting worked on anymore then.
I can think of a worse way to spend $6, but also you could just play Arcaxer.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Well, and like you said, we took all of our favorite ideas from Wave Magic, all of the good ones. And we pushed
what would be cool though
if
you really loved Arcaxer and now you got a chance to meet you guys and you just want to see where it came from. Like I'm sure Nick would be interested to jump in there and just take a look and see.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I would too, just because we know you guys now, and all these people watching are going to know you guys, and it would be an interesting because I absolutely love Arcaxer. It would be cool to see the origins maybe of where you guys pulled some of these ideas and moved it into Arcaxer. So. Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about the backstory of you did Wave Magic and now it's time for Arcaxer. How did you get to that point, and then lead us up to present day? Yeah,
definitely. So Arcaxer, actually, when I first started working on it, it was going to be an entirely different game. It was originally going to be called Catalyst, and it was supposed to be I was going to make a very streamer-focused game. I wanted the whole point of the game to be you'd basically be playing this game in VR, and then you'd hook it up to like your Twitch account, and then you'd enter battles, and Twitch would be able to power you up by like typing things in chat, which was kind of cool. I actually had a prototype working, but I realized that there's almost nobody who would be able to benefit from this game because one. VR is kind of a niche market in the first place, and two, you have to be a streamer and you have to have an audience to be able to interact with the game and power you up. So it was the turn-based combat from Arcaxer, but with this Twitch streaming thing. So eventually I axed that completely, and I just kept iterating on this whole okay, let's just do the turn-based combat in this third-person overworld and these procedural dungeons and go from there. So from there, I basically just developed a story and kept making new dungeons and enemies. And eventually, once we had an alpha we were comfortable with, we released it on SideQuest. This was back in the beginning of 2020. We released our first demo there.
February 2020.
Yeah, and at that point, even SideQuest was pretty new. I think at that there was maybe only 100 apps, 200, 300 apps total.
We're at 549.
There you go.
Wow,
500 apps. That's the exact number.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah. So we put it on SideQuest, and it got pretty popular there as far as SideQuest games go. And that's kind of how we started generating our audience and getting people to join our Discord and stuff. And we just kept iterating on that until eventually App Lab launched. And we moved the game to App Lab.
So how long roughly did y'all have it in development before release?
It's a little hard to answer because, like I said, a lot of it was iterating on Wave Magic.
Yeah.
But I would say before it hit App Lab, it was probably a year to 2 years in development, where I'd say I was working on it as early as 2018. But
I'd say three years total, including all the work we put in, because assets from the original whatever this was going to be game, the first dungeon, some of the early enemies, I made those in 2018, 2017.
Mhm.
Okay,
a
so
while ago.
yeah, we're talking 2017, 4 years ago, I believe now.
Yeah.
For like that's like the very first
Okay, yeah,
time
no.
we tried anything.
Well, still, I mean, beginning development all the way up till what you have now with Arcaxer is it's a long process to go through and get to the
Yeah.
point where you guys are at now. Would y'all feel y'all are fairly successful with Arcaxer as it stands now?
I'd say the game's done pretty good. It could be doing a lot better if Oculus could move us over to the the big boy store.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
But-
since you guys brought it up, let's talk that a little bit. So, amazing thing, happened. About a year ago, we just came up on the anniversary of App Lab, right? So about a year ago, App Labs came out, and you guys must have been ecstatic about that, right? I mean, now this is a place where basically you don't have to sideload anything, you don't have to use SideQuest, you don't have to have a computer, you don't have to know about computers, and the Quest 2 is a very non-computer savvy friendly headset. So we have a lot of people that don't want to or don't know how to sideload, or they don't want to sideload. So now this is a way for people to be able to find your game and get it and buy it without having to go anywhere but the Oculus store, even though it might be a little hidden. So how was the process of getting yourselves away from SideQuest and onto App Labs? What was that process like?
So honestly, at the very beginning, it was pretty hectic because everybody wanted to get on App Lab as soon as possible. So Oculus was really backed up those first couple months.
Well, did they have 3 people doing it? I had heard a rumor that they had 3 people that were actually looking at all these games and
I
trying
wouldn't
to
be
improve them or not.
surprised.
I would not be surprised.
I'm 100% serious. That's what I had heard.
It took a long time.
And then we did get either lucky or they liked us. I don't know, but I know they had 12 initial titles. Like at the launch of App Lab, they had 12 that they had handpicked, and then everything else was the open applications. We were either number 13 or number 15.
Yeah, so we were in that kind of first batch that initially hit App Lab, which is really cool because at that point, a lot of sites like VR Upload were still doing a lot of articles and stuff on App Lab. So
Right. Yeah, because it was so new, everybody wanted to everybody wanted to talk about it, right?
Right. So when they go to App Lab and there's only 20 games and our game was one of them, that was definitely like a huge boost for us.
Well, speaking of first batches, Eric, why don't you go ahead and tell them what happened with our winners for the 100,000 member key giveaway we've been working with?
So this is amazing, and this is not having anything to do with these guys being here tonight. So me and Nick the other night. So last Friday we ended our contest for the 100 key giveaway. So guys, you guys know because you were part of it. We gave away 100 keys, which is unheard of. You know what I mean? I've never heard of any group giving away 100 keys to celebrate our breaking of 100,000 members in the group. So the first person that I pull a name is like a grand prize winner. He doesn't win anything special. He just gets the pick of 100 keys because there's still 100 keys left. As we get down to number 50, he only has 50 keys to choose from left. So the first person we get, his name is Tyler Wood. He was the first person I contacted. He was number 1, and then he had his pick of 44 different games, and he chose Arcaxer.
Really?
Really?
That's awesome.
Amazing. Well, I was doing it. Me and Nick were in chat together. He was doing his own thing. I'm contacting people, but we had a video chat going. And I'm like, you will not freaking believe what the winner just picked. And we're like, this is amazing. I mean, and this just goes to show you, though, that number 1, there's not a lot of games like this out there. And number 2, the polish that people can see on the game already. And hopefully that we have put out there enough information, hopefully that this member of our group maybe saw in the past, or he's seen it somewhere else where he was just like, I need to go get this game. Because he had his pick of, In Death Unchained. He had his pick of Warplanes. He had his pick of...
He had a Warhammer game to choose from.
We had Warhammer. We had Population 1. We had
a lot of stuff.
Pistol Whip. We had 44 different games to choose from, and he picked Arcaxer. Congratulations.
That makes me really happy.
Yeah, I've never heard that story. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I will say, I do troll the Quest 2 page fairly often, a couple times a week usually. I'm always looking for things like RPG or people who like Skyrim. And I see a lot of the moderators, a few of you guys, and just a couple other regular users who bring Arcaxer up a lot. And it always makes me feel good. And when they don't, I do. So,
Absolutely.
It
would be
would
bad if you didn't bring up your own game.
Yeah, at this point. I try not to be too annoying, but yeah.
Well, it's your baby. You got to do that.
Dickel in the
Push it
comments
uphill.
says 100 keys is unbelievable. Thanks to the devs that collaborated with this group for that celebration. Here's 2 of them right here for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for being part of our 100 key giveaway. It was an important milestone for us, and we appreciate you doing it.
I will say, my
Absolutely.
entire relationship with you guys, Nick reached out to me on Discord. He found us through our official Discord, and you guys have been positive and friendly, and the community's been so welcoming and excited about everything. So it is really nice to be involved.
Yeah.
And I do
No.
appreciate the support you guys give us.
Yeah, definitely. We appreciate you guys being here. It was one of the changes that we kind of made early on when we started to grow and become this crazy thing that we've created, that we didn't want to be just a normal, Facebook group. We wanted to be someplace where developers and people could get together, and we could do these awesome giveaways and show these great games to people. And yeah, we're appreciative to that. There's so many developers in the group that contribute and are not just here just for their games, but like I said, you comment all the time and you look through the group all the time. So we appreciate it.
Well, connecting developers like you with members like us helps improve these games, and that's what we're all about, isn't it? Trying to advance the future of VR to make it better for everybody. So
yeah,
definitely.
for sure. Let me just say hi to a couple people in chat. We've got some people that have come in and out, and I just want to say hi. So Justin Tiro, we saw Dennis Detlef. How you doing? Thanks for being here.
thanks for coming.
One of our regulars, Dickel Salas Pineda. How are you doing, my friend? Thanks for being here. Alex Ribs, one of our moderators from our Discord, is here. Thanks, man. I appreciate you being here.
Got Ray being here.
And yeah, who is that? That
I
was,
have no idea. I think this is his first time coming.
Ray Wapo. How you doing, man? He says, hi, y'all stopping by before I put my daughter to sleep. Hope everyone has a beautiful night. God bless, and congratulations to the winners of the 100 key giveaway. Thank you. God bless you as well.
Thank you.
And
It's
Benny
like
Lee
Benny
is here from
Chat.
Hello Real. Hey, Benny, how you doing? So yeah, let me just finish on that 100 key thing since we mentioned it, and a lot of people may not know, and I'll get it out here real quick. So we did pull all the winners for the 100 key the other night. Myself and Nick was a Saturday night. We ended it on Friday, and it was Saturday night. We went through and we chose. So we have all the 100 winners. But all these people, I have to contact every one of these people, and they have to choose their keys. So
That's a process.
It's going to be a process.
It's a long process.
Because I have to give them time to respond before I move on. So I can't.
Yeah,
just go,
especially
hey,
if you're
you
going
got
top to bottom.
I can't go, hey, you got 15 minutes to choose your key, and then I'm moving on. So yeah, I got to give them at least 24 hours to choose, and some people just don't get back to me right away. So I've really only gotten through probably about 30 people so far that have actually have actually received their keys, and chosen to receive their keys. So it's going to be a process. Once we hit 50, I'm going to release the names of the first 50 so people can see them. You're going to see some stuff in the group of people saying, hey, I got my, I won, here's what I chose. And because I asked them just to say, hey, say something. So you might see some people comment here and there, but you will see a full 50-person list probably, I hope, within the next, 4 or 5 days. And then probably 4 or 5 days after that, see the final 50, which
Nice.
Nick, you're doing the next 50.
Yeah, can't wait. It's a process. And,
Yeah, right.
It's going to take a little while, but we'll get everybody announced. We'll get all the winners their keys, and it's been a really great event. It's been awesome having developers and the community together and getting everybody. It's been really fun. So
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it's rewarding. It is rewarding. It's a lot of work, but it's rewarding.
Yeah. So I have a question for you guys. A lot of people hear the name indie studio, and that's what you guys are, correct? Is it indie developers? So what is an indie developer, and what is it like being an indie developer? Because a lot of people don't know what an indie developer actually is.
So originally, an indie developer was just a developer, I guess, without a publisher. But I'd say the definition has changed over time. I'd say an indie developer is just, I think most people just think of it as like a small team now.
Yeah, it's more of a studio size thing.
Yeah,
Right.
those numbers have changed too, right? Because I'm hearing that anything under 30 could be considered an indie developer, really.
Yeah, there's like indie, which is what we are, and it's 5 people in the closet. And then it's a little broad, but there's like single A indie, which is like 10 to 15, like super giant. They made Bastion and Hades. They're super cool, but they're 15 people.
I love
And then,
Hades, dude. Hades
it's
is
a really
such a
cool
good
game.
game. I'm hooked on Hades, man.
And then like a double A indie developer, there's a company near me called Blind Squirrel. They have like 60 to 75 people. They work on big games. They have some of their own IPs. but they're back and forth. They're not like they don't have the full weight of like an EA, and then everything past that is just AAA.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, some people think that, you know, to be an indie developer, you have to be 2 or 3 people, and it's just not the case. I mean,
No.
30 sounds like a lot, but I mean, when you're making a huge game, I mean, 30 can probably stretch pretty thin, pretty quick. I don't even know how you guys do what you do, just being a few of you.
Yeah.
Smoke and mirrors.
A lot of coffee.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Cheers.
Yeah, copy and pasting, careful reusing. And yeah, we never sleep.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Now,
That's true.
can I ask you a personal question? Do you guys do this full time, or do you have other jobs that you do with this?
So I work full time for a company called Well Play Studios, which is a game and I call it like an AR VR dev shop in LA, and they have actually helped it. They actually act as our publisher for this game, which is really cool. So I'm kind of in a weird situation where I work for the company that also publishes our game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say Overrun Games at the moment is more of a side gig. But yeah, it may change in the future.
Yeah,
Nice.
I
hope so for you guys.
Me too. I'm in a similar boat. I work a couple hours, 20 hours or so in a comic shop.
And
Sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
I'm trying to get the
comic shop.
game posted.
Oh, nice. I do contracts for other people, and sometimes I do work for Well Played too, which is always nice because they're a great group of guys. And Overrun Games is probably when I'm really going 20 to 30 hours a week. It's still a side project, but we're really happy with it, and it's starting to work out. So that's nice to see.
awesome, man! I'm so stoked for you guys, and I want you guys to do really well, and I hope that you guys can do this full time. I hope this becomes your life, and you're doing this, and just being over on games and making awesome games for me to play. Because you know that's the selfish part of me. I want it to be good for you guys, but I want to be able to play all your games. And I want you to make more games.
That's the exchange. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anybody that might have a hard time finding the game, I just posted a link to it in the chat for you. If y'all want to take a look at it anytime during the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. And Denise Detlaf says, hate to say it, but it's Denise, or D Nice if you're a Key and Peele fan. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And she's been here like for a couple of weeks, and I've been calling her Dennis. So, yeah. So sorry, Denise. I mean it. Sorry.
Key and Peele does have some pretty funny stuff.
Hell yeah.
They do. They really do.
Yeah, and we're gonna call Aaron Aaron for the rest of the
day.
You know, I went my whole life and I never had a nickname because Aaron is a dumb name to nickname. And then suddenly everyone calls me Aaron, and I'm happy about it because I tried so many stupid nicknames, and Aaron's the best dumb one.
It works.
Too funny. So. You go ahead, Nick. Why don't you take the next one?
Yeah, so actually, I kind of wanted to ask you guys about the price point of Arcaxer since the link is up in the store now. So the game is $24.99. We do know that there's a free demo available. App Lab games aren't, everybody thinks that they're unfinished games, they're undeveloped, they're early access, something of that nature. $25 seems, a little bit high for something that's not finished yet. Why did y'all decide to go with that price point?
Sure, yeah, so like you said, a lot of people do think games on App Lab are like demos or unpolished or unfinished. But in reality, a lot of games on App Lab are just games that haven't been approved by Oculus yet to go to the main store. And at the moment, it's really hard. Like, nobody really knows what goes on in Oculus and what the decision-making process is. So Arcaxer we consider it a finished product. It's a full game. It's got a full story, custom art, custom soundtrack. It's definitely on the longer side of VR games.
I was going to say this is a long game. You guys put a lot. I mean, how many? There's no way. I mean, Nick has probably put the most hours than anybody. But
I've gotten close to finishing it. I think maybe. But how long is the game?
So. If you're just doing the main story, it's probably going to take you around 15 hours.
Wow.
But there's a lot of side content in addition to that. If you're doing every side quest and trying to get every single ability and item, it's probably going to take you closer to 20 to 30 hours. And then even after that, we have a dungeon called Sim, which is an infinite dungeon that just keeps getting harder and harder and harder as you play it. So we've had people in our Discord that just they
Insane
play
levels.
that and have literally sunk hundreds and hundreds of hours into the game.
That seems
That's
like quite a
awesome.
bit of content for $24.99. Then is that why y'all decided
Exactly.
to go
I
with
don't
that?
think it's too bad. And then
I think it's a deal.
Anthony
I
pointed
agree
out
too.
15 hours for your first playthrough. There are 3 regular classes, so we got fighter, mage, thief. And even though your second playthrough is faster, a lot of people do enjoy the different classes because Anthony put so much work into making them distinct and unique and fun.
Yeah.
And he's been building 2 new challenge classes. Can you explain that real quick, Anthony?
Yeah, so when you play through the game, usually you go through the tutorial and then you pick one of the 3 basic classes, which is Mage, Thief, or Fighter. But if you want to play the game a little differently, we have 2 what we call challenge classes. One of them is called Dark Knight, which is where every 3 levels you get a random ability from any ability in the game. So it's kind of like a randomizer run almost, where you could... It could be really hard or really easy depending on what the game gives you, and
We've seen mixed results. Yeah.
yeah.
That's
So
kinda cool,
Pretty
man. I
sold
like
on that
that.
name right there, Dark Knight.
yeah,
Yeah, I like it.
it's kind of a it's a bit of a stretch of a reference. It's because our game it's very it takes place in a simulation and has to do with the internet and
Yeah, that's
computery
what
stuff.
we should probably get into that because we kind of moved, we kind of jumped a little bit, and there's a lot of people that probably haven't played Arcaxer yet that are watching or that will be watching that don't know anything about it. So, Arcaxer, it is what I would consider a JRPG, right?
Yes.
And for
Yeah.
anybody who doesn't know out there, JRPG is a Japanese role-playing game, basically.
Yes.
So, why don't you tell us like what kind of game? Well, we know what kind of game it is, but tell us about Arcaxer, the game itself, and how it's played.
Sure. So Arcaxer is a game where the game kind of takes place in 2 states. So it's a story-based game where you level up and get stronger, learn new abilities to fight stronger and stronger monsters, and experience the story and try to get to the final boss. So in the game, you explore the overworld, which is how you move around the world, go through dungeons, and explore towns and talk to NPCs. And you do all that in a third-person perspective. So when you're playing the game, it kind of almost feels like you're looking at like a little diorama, and you're moving your character around in the overworld that way. But you can also move around the overworld in first person if you prefer that. We did design it with third person in mind. So if you're playing through your first time, I do recommend that you go through most of the overworld in third person, just because the visuals were definitely designed that way. But if you do insist on playing in first person, you can do that.
I've done it in both, and it's actually pretty fun either way. It's a little bit more challenging in first person, but battles are in first person anyway. So
yes, so that's the second part. Is so when you go through dungeons, the dungeons are procedurally generated, which means every time you go to a new floor, the layout is always going to be different. And on each floor, you'll run into enemies, and when you encounter an enemy, the game will switch into first person perspective. Where you'll be in first person, and you'll fight a different pool of enemies depending on which dungeon you're in. And the dungeons are turn-based, but they still require some finesse. So there's still I'd still consider it action combat, even though it's turn by turn. So on your turn, you cast spells and use your weapons to attack the enemy, and then when you run out of action points, it's the enemy's turn now, and then they launch attacks at you, and you have to actually dodge them, like with your body. So then you do this back and forth until the enemies are dead, and it's pretty much it.
So Eric asked earlier, JRPGs, is that part of the Japanese role-playing game culture? With the way the games are made, they're built to be turn-based.
The old ones are for sure.
Definitely the old ones. I would say the game is JRPG inspired. I don't know if you could call it JRPG, because obviously
it's a really loose umbrella.
Yeah, we're not a Japanese studio, obviously. But we say it's JRPG inspired because it's inspired by classic games like Final Fantasy on the SNES and NES, and those old school turn-based style RPGs. It's supposed to be reminiscent of those kind of games,
like the early Final Fantasy type games, where it was where they were more turn-based. They kind of went away from that a little bit later on, but
they have, but we remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially
right?
with the enemy designs, super heavy on Final Fantasy, and just that kind of stuff that I like Dragon. Someone's been mentioning like Dragon
Yeah,
Quest.
Benny mentioned Dragon Quest.
I
Yeah,
like-
that's cool, right?
I like Earthbound a lot. The old Super Mario RPG. A lot of weird stuff from the SNES.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's
Yeah.
been fun.
Jason Ward asks in chat, any plans on multiplayer?
So at this moment, we haven't even started prototyping yet, but it is something that's on our list of things we want to start looking at. We plan on finishing this next big update, which we call Casino Malware, which is another dungeon, more areas, and kind of an addition to the story that you play after the end. And then after that, I would say it's definitely the very high thing on my list. Or something I want to start
It's
with.
something people have been asking for a while, and Anthony is definitely excited about it.
So
Yeah.
why don't you guys go ahead and tell us a little bit about the actual story behind Arcaxer? You know, how the in game, what's the story behind it?
Sure. So Arcaxer takes place in a virtual world called the Sim, where every human, every entity that's intelligent is generated from like people's like social media profiles from the internet.
I got such Tron vibes by this part of the game. I really did, man. I was like, I keep telling Nick, I'm like, it's like Tron, dude. And he's like,
Yeah.
Tron, what's Tron?
Yeah, Tron was definitely a big inspiration. The Matrix, all that kind of stuff. So in this world, you play as an entity that's, I guess you would say it's generated by your social media profile, or you can think of it that way. And when you start the game, you're a prisoner of this entity called Taskmaster, and what he's doing is he's like capturing new entities that spawn into the world, and he's forcing them to fight for him to climb something called the Stack. And the Stack is this like really tall tower in the Sim, which has this untold treasure at the top that everybody's trying to get to. So after you deal with the whole ordeal of Taskmaster, you're basically working with the other characters in the game to try to get to the top of the stack, figure out what's up there, and I guess you'll just have to learn more from there. I don't want to spoil it too much.
And that's where Anthony's love of anime comes in.
Yeah, right.
A lot of the story beats are very classic
I would-
JRPG.
I'd watch this show.
There's always a tower in anime.
There's
guys,
a lot of hours.
You guys mentioned Taskmaster. I think Eric has a really serious question he has to have answered from you guys about him.
I love this. I love the voice acting of the Taskmaster. It was so funny, man. It was so good. Who did some of the voice work of some of the characters? And did any of you guys do any voices in there?
So Taskmaster was voiced by our friend Cody, who he's not a voice actor, but he did theater in high school, so that's his.
And he's got a deep, resonant voice.
Oh, it was
Yeah,
so good, man. I loved it.
well,
I really
obviously,
did.
he did some post-processing too, but yeah, he really
Yep.
nailed it. It was fun.
Yeah, we always say he's a very dad-like character. So
Yeah.
we wanted
Yeah.
him to play our big hulky jail warden character. Which
And
I
that's
feel like
definitely-
fit.
It fits, yeah. That's his most prominent character or contribution for sure. He also has lent a hand with coding here and there when he had time.
Nice.
So he is. When we say it's mostly me and Anthony, Cody is the third person basically.
Yes.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Does Cody do most of the voice acting in Arcaxer, or?
Just Taskmaster.
Just Taskmaster. Our friend Connor Dugard did the voice of Bryce. Aaron.
Way funnier than I expected.
Yeah.
What was the name of the girl that did Sydney and Yorona?
Oh man, I really should remember.
They were good too, man.
But
All
friend
of
of
the voice acting
Yeah,
was
she
so
really
good.
nailed it. One of my friends from my comic shop, he's a trained voice actor, and like me, entertainment's hard, so he also works at a comic shop. And he did Reggie the Troll, and he had a friend who did all of our female voices.
Nice. So good. So good. It's nice when you can bring people in that you know to kind of help you and do
It
these
felt
things,
really
right?
cool. Yeah.
Well, especially when they're good. I mean, I'm sure you can bring friends and you're like, nah, you're just
We vetted everyone, and I was ready to no.
Exactly,
If
right?
it came up, but it didn't come up, so that was great.
Okay.
Yeah, very cool. Hey, I was just gonna ask Todd, can you do me a favor? Can you take a link to this and put it in Virtual Strangers Discord in the self promo for me? Just I would like to. I know they some people from over there wanted to be involved with hearing some of this, and I forgot to put it in there. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, Todd, if you're around, if you can do that, and Todd did put a
He
put a
did,
link
I
to
saw
this in
that.
your guys in Arcaxer Discord as well. And he put that in. So if anybody is interested in going to the Arcaxer Discord, I'm sure there's a lot of people talking the game in there that just love it. And if you want to talk to some like-minded people about Arcaxer, and probably you guys too, right? Probably in there.
Yep.
Yeah, we're in here all the
Every
time. We talk a lot.
Yeah, for sure. So why don't we give away a key, guys? That'd be awesome. So Aaron and Anthony were extremely nice, and they gave us 2 keys to give away. 2 more keys to give away because they've already given us a whole bunch of keys anyway. But 2 keys just for this interview, which we really appreciate, and thank you.
Absolutely,
for doing that. We're going to keep it pretty easy. If you guys can tell us, the first person to tell us, when did Arcaxer release? The date, please, of when Arcaxer released onto the App Lab store. Not on the side quest, but on the App Lab store. So
I know this one.
Yeah, when did Arcaxer release on App Lab? And it will really easy, guys. You can either just go to the Oculus store and type in the name Arcaxer.
A link for y'all in the
follow
chat.
the link. So Todd Jackson says 1926, and that's very close.
He's thinking in a very interesting way.
That's an answer.
He also says Cody is hilarious, which he is.
He had a very good comic sensibility for that.
Yeah.
I think I see a real one.
Jason Ward got it. He's fast.
Congrats.
Fast. Congratulations. February 11th, 2021. Congrats to Jason Ward, and congrats on you guys for getting into App Lab on February of 2021. And are there any? Do you guys have any plans at all, or any, knowledge of when you might hit the regular store?
So at this point, we know about as much as everyone else does.
Literally the same amount.
They're very secretive about what games, how their choosing process works for choosing which games move from App Lab. Obviously, not very many games have moved from App Lab to the main store so far. So at this point, it's just you gotta hope they like your game and decide to move it over.
Yeah, I mean, this is something like where you gotta keep pestering your contact and just say, hey, is today the lucky day?
Well, they used to have before App Lab, you actually had to submit like a pitch deck to them, and they wouldn't even play a demo or anything. Basically, you'd give them like a 3-page pitch deck. They'd look at the idea, look at your team, and say yes or no. But they've canceled that completely. So now it is completely just either they reach out to your company specifically, or they see your game on App Lab and say, yes, this is something we want to be featured on our store.
So there's no contact for you, or no communication back and forth to say, this is, so there's no direction to say, hey, these are the steps that you need to do to get your game on the store. Because like, think about Sony. Sony is an extremely hard platform to get on, I mean, at all. But they give you guidelines, and they give a lot of companies guidelines, and they're like, you submit the game, and they're like, well, this game's not ready for Sony. It's not ready for us yet. But here's the things you need to do. You need to do this, 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 and this. And if you can do those things, bring it back to us. And if it's in in an approvable state, we'll put it on the store. So at least they have a direction of, can we do this, number one, what they asked for, and if we can, let's go ahead and do it so we can get on to PlayStation. But there's nothing like that for you guys. You have no roadmap of this is what we need to do.
Yeah, even when they had the pitch deck submission, you'd just give it to them and you'd get a yes or no. You couldn't get any more information about what they're looking for, the reasons that they denied your pitch. So I don't know if it's just that maybe their program for moving games over isn't very robust right now. Maybe they're waiting for the next iteration of the Oculus to come out before they really start passing games through to the main store. They're very protective about the Quest because obviously it's very popular and it's getting a lot of people who
like Eric mentioned, it is non-power user people. It is casual people. So
obviously they don't want a game on there that's going to make people sick or might give them a really bad experience, because for a lot of people that's going to be their first VR experience ever. Yeah. And if they buy some game on their store and it makes them sick, and that's their first impression of VR, they might never touch VR again. So that's part of the reason why they're so protective of that.
Yeah, and let me just say to anybody out there who's thinking about getting this game, who's new to VR or does not have their VR legs, I don't think that, I mean, I have my VR legs, very well, and I don't get sick at all, but there's not even a hint of anything in this game that would even give you anything like that. But you guys, there's stuff in there. You guys have stuff in the menu, right? To do you do any vignetting or anything like that?
Yes.
Yep, we have the vignette you can add. The only thing that can really, so in VR, things that cause sickness are usually anytime you force the camera to move. So in our overworld, when you move your character, the camera does follow the character. So as that is the only thing in our game that could possibly make you feel a little woozy, we do have a vignette you can turn on that lowers your FOV, which helps kind of trick the brain into thinking like, okay, I'm not actually being forced to move right now, which could.
Although, speaking of brain tricks, Anthony, I mean, the whole reason we designed the third-person overworld was because as long as there's a stable horizon in the distance, it's like when you're sitting in a car, if you look nearby, you get sick. But if you look far away, your brain interpolates it and you're okay. Anthony really managed to achieve that very well. Plus, as the artist, I love the diorama look. I think it's a really fun way to look at my stuff.
Oh yeah,
It's
awesome.
a pretty. I'm a wuss, and it's a very low impact game for VR leagues.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
Actually,
really is. I mean, there's nothing there. And Jason Ward said, hey, they put Mission ISS in the Quest store. That is a puke fest waiting to happen. So,
Well-
I mean, I remember when I first got my Quest, I wasn't even new to VR, but when I got my Quest, I went in there, and I'm like, I'm getting out of this thing, man. This is not good.
Oh, good. I'll keep that one off my list of ones to
Yeah,
try.
well, you're probably okay with all the hours you put in VR now, but can you imagine some grandma, some 60-year-old grandma going into Mission ISS and she's puking all over her living room?
Yeah.
That thing's terrible. If anybody doesn't know what Mission ISS is, basically you're in like a space station in zero gravity, and when you move, you can't stop yourself unless you grab onto something. So you basically have no control of your movement, and when you move like that with no control and the camera's moving all over the place, it's just so disorienting. You want to throw up right away.
That sounds pretty bad.
I mean, it's a cool experience, and if you get your VR legs, definitely go do it. But until then, don't even go there.
From what I've heard, regular zero G makes people vomit too. So I guess they really replicated that.
Yeah, really. If you want to know what it's like to be in outer space and you're gonna throw up, then yeah, definitely go do that. But to your guys' point about what can you guys do to get off it? Here's what everybody out there can do to help. Go to the games, the App Lab store, on the store page for Arcaxer, and give a review if you played the game. Give a review and give the best review you can. The more reviews they have, the more the Oculus will look at the things. I guarantee it. Also, if you don't have the game, go wishlist it, and then go get the game if you don't have it, because it's an amazing game and you're gonna love it.
There's a free demo too.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, there's a free demo, guys. So get into it and see how amazing it is, and spend the money because it's worth it. You're talking at 15 plus hours of content in this game for $25.
Yeah, that's quite a bit of.
There's
even more
$30,
content.
$40 games out there that are 3 hours long. You know what I mean? So this game just keeps on giving. But yeah, anybody who's played it, who's watching this afterwards or right now, go give a review. That's the best way you can help any developer out.
Absolutely.
So,
Thank you. And that seems like that's very common sense. And we love reviews. We read literally every single one of them. We talk about them. They embed themselves in our mind. So you can leave a lasting impression.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean it's a big thing that people sometimes don't think about. Is sometimes you just see that a lot of people just want to give bad reviews, and people who love the game don't think about maybe I should go give a review because they're happy with the game, so they don't feel they need to go do it. But a good review is even better than a bad review. So anytime if you love this game, go tell everybody else that you love it. You know what I mean? That's the best way to do it.
Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit more about the inside your game there with we know that it's first-person fighting. We know that you're playing the game in an overworld. You gave us a little bit about the story. Tell us what you're doing throughout the game. It's JRPG inspired, so there's probably puzzles, I imagine. You guys, I think, mentioned side quests earlier in it. What are you doing in the game?
So the base loot for the game is so like I said, you're climbing the stack, trying to get to the top, and then the stack is broken into 5 different blocks. And each block will have usually a mid-boss and a final boss.
Okay.
So usually what you're doing is, as you're climbing the stack, every 5 floors you hit a checkpoint, so you can leave and come back at any time, and you'll just teleport up to that iteration of 5 floors, I guess.
Kind of like a checkpoint for you.
Right. And then once you hit the boss, you unlock the next block, and you can move on to the next block of the thing and do the next chunk of story.
Okay.
But in addition to that, there's also some big outdoor areas. So we have like what we call Sandy Bridge, which is a big desert area where you unlock the hoverboard, which lets you do overworld fast hoverboard travel, which you can also do in first person, which I only recommend you do if you.
Yeah.
That one might give you a little bit of motion sickness.
Yes.
Come
Yeah,
on,
so-
it's a freaking hoverboard, people. It's amazing. It's a hoverboard.
You need your VR legs, but we did include it if that's your thing. So yeah, the desert is it's got a lot of ramps and stuff for you to test the hoverboard out on and collect equips to help you out when you go back into the stack. We have another outdoor area called Coffee Lake, which you access later in the story, which has more side quests and kind of little overworld puzzles and fun new NPCs to interact with.
So I wanted to ask, that actually is a lake of coffee, isn't it?
Yes, that
Coffee
is
Lake
true.
is the lake of coffee. Why wouldn't it be?
It is in
It's called
fact
Coffee
a
Lake, for
lake.
God's sakes.
Yep.
It actually came from one of our streams where we were developing stuff, and we were talking about like chipsets. Sandy Bridge is an old-fashioned CPU. Coffee Lake is another one, architecture, yeah. And I said Coffee Lake sounds amazing because doesn't that just sound awesome?
Hell
And
yeah.
then why not? And that why not has guided a lot of our important choices.
But in that universe, it fits anyway, though, right?
It
Right.
does. It works really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just. I wanted to shout out to Jason Ward. Jason Ward just did a very cool thing. So Jason Ward just won a copy of Arcaxer, and what he said was, he says, "I'm going to go purchase a copy of Arcaxer right now because I'm going to give my key to Alex Rivs, who actually runs a really good Facebook Quest 2 group in Quebec. It's just a Quebec group, and he wants to give that key away to somebody in the Quebec group. So, Jason, you're a good dude. Thanks for doing that, man. And
Absolutely, I appreciate that.
yeah,
man.
we appreciate it. And Rivs, Alex Rivs, enjoy that key, and I hope somebody who can win it and give these guys a plug in your group, please.
Thank you so much.
Y'all both get to
It's
enjoy
really
it
nice
now.
to hear.
Yeah, for sure. And we got a couple new people that stopped in. We have Roots from Virtual Strangers just stopped in. Thank you for
Nice.
being here, my friend Roots.
Thanks
and
for coming in, Roots. Good to see you.
and we got James Jacob, who is Radio Runt from the Virtual Strangers Discord, and
Hey
he
there,
is a
James.
huge RPG fan. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
think he's played. Radio Runt. Have you played this game? Because I think we talked about this, and I think you played this game and you love this game. So.
Yeah. I spent quite a few hours with him and you and Demio, so I know the man loves some
Oh
RPGs.
man, Demio's so good.
It's
man.
a really good campaign game, Dark Axe.
So we just talked about last night. We talked about a game that just released on Steam that was a PlayStation VR exclusive for a long time called Table of Tales, which is basically Demio before Demio. It came out in 2018, and it's basically a role-playing game where you control figures on a board just like Demio. But it has a story. It's only single player, no multiplayer, but it's a story-based campaign. So it's not just you fighting against enemies blindly like in Demio. It's all about the story, and it's all about unraveling this mystery that you're in. And this game is freaking amazing. I can't believe I slept on it for so long. They just had a sale on it on the PlayStation Store for $5. They sold it for on sale. It's normally $20. And they just released it for the first time ever on Steam on Thursday. Yeah, yesterday. So, yeah, it's $24.99 on Steam. But, yeah, anybody who likes that type of game, go check that game out, too. That game's amazing. As good as Demio. If it had multiplayer, I would say it's up there with Demio. And I had just recently put Demio in my top 5 Quest games of all time.
Oh, yeah.
That's how
That's
good this
good.
game is.
Looks like
So-
Radio Run hasn't checked out Arcaxer yet, so I dropped a link in there for anybody new in the chat. Go check it out, take a look at it, and check their video out.
Yeah.
It's a great
Yeah,
game.
Radio Run. Arcaxer is right up your alley. It's such a good game. It's got a good story. He's all about lore, and there's lore in this game.
There's a
So,
lot.
yeah, there's a lot of lore.
Story.
Yeah.
And speaking of lore,
Yeah.
you were telling us about the Coffee Lake and the desert. What else? What else? Did you guys have in the game? Like I was asking earlier, y'all have some puzzles or whatnot that you have to do, side quests, a couple of
Yep.
things like that.
Yep. So every few floors in the stack, we also have what we call puzzle floors, which are like they're pre-made floors that feature all the puzzles feature some kind of physics or something you have to interact with your overworld hands. So when you're traveling in the overworld, you have your avatar that you're controlling, but then you also have like your VR hands, which kind of look like big floating god hands. And these can actually interact with things in the overworld. So you can pick up like crates and things, and you can throw them at enemies to stun them if you want to get like a preemptive attack on them before battle.
That's pretty funny.
And you can use this functionality to solve puzzles. So we have like a tile puzzle where you have to reorganize tiles. We have a puzzle in the spooky dungeon block where you have like a skull that has like fog coming out of it. And you'll have to like move the fog over an invisible path to find out where you're supposed to walk to get to the chest.
Oh, wow.
We have like a hoverboard course. Just a lot of fun stuff like that where you got to use your brain a little bit.
So I mean, these are kind of things that we would see like back in JRPGs, as Eric was mentioning earlier, which is pretty neat. So it almost sounds, besides the fact that it's not a studio out of Japan, it almost sounds like a JRPG. Would y'all classify it as that?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. What else? I mean, you said some side quest earlier.
When you get to the hub in the game, which is it's the hub, and it's also called the hub in the game.
I love the name, the hub.
You get the idea very quickly.
Yeah.
So the hub has this tavern that has like a list of side quests for you to do. These are very simple things like go collect these items from the stack, or go find this thing, or level up this spell. And then in addition to that, we have NPCs in all the overworld zones that'll ask you to do some crazy stuff. Like some of my favorite puzzles. There's an NPC that he's called Sweaty Entity, and he's complaining that it's too hot outside and he wishes there was more shade. And all you have to do is move your hand so that your hand's shadow is covering him, and then talk to him again, and then he'll be like, "Oh, that's much better," and give you an item.
I'd never figure that out. I'd be like, "What? What are you talking about?"
It does stump a surprising amount of people.
Yeah,
that sounds pretty fun though. Actually,
that's a fun one.
And sometimes I don't have patience for those things, so I'm like, "Yeah, just move me on. Let me get through."
We watch a lot of streamers. A lot of streamers get to puzzles and they say, "Nah."
Yeah.
So I noped out on Myst pretty damn quick. I started playing Myst. I'm like, "Yeah, this is gonna happen."
See,
I get too much time of my life to this game, and I just can't do it.
Oh yeah, I spent a lot of time on puzzles. I absolutely love them. So, but that's kind of more my thing, anyways.
Yeah. So Radio Run Chat says, "I guess I'm gonna have to go pick this up."
Yeah.
So there's another one, guys.
You have to.
Yeah, Radio Run. Pick this up, man. You're gonna love it.
He still has a chance at the end of the show to.
We have one more key.
We have for you guys.
Yeah.
So,
actually, we just stopped somebody. We just stopped a sale for these guys. They would have had a sale right now.
Oh no!
This could have been the sale that pushed them into the Quest store.
Positivity.
That's all right.
Now they're still stuck in App Lab forever.
I already know if Radio Run don't win, he's gonna go buy it anyway. So we're still good.
Absolutely. And if he doesn't, Roots said he'd buy it for him.
It'd be great, man.
More
players, the better.
Well, he didn't say that, but I said that for him. Oh, too funny. So the guys, you're still working on this game. You know, you said you're still putting 20, 30 hours a week, individually, each of you into the game. So why is that? What's going on with the game?
So we're working on our next big content patch. Actually, half of it is already out. Our next content patch is called Casino Malware, and it takes place after the end of the main story in the game. So this is after the initial 15 hours. There's this whole other chunk of story.
So do you have to beat the game to get to the content?
Yes. So you do have to beat the game to get to this next segment.
I love it. I think it's great. I think you should have to.
Yeah.
I mean, Saints and Sinners was just about to release their Aftershocks downloadable content. It's the same way. You cannot play their new content unless you have beaten the main core of the game.
Mm-hmm. I just I wanted to add more hours to the game. I wanted to expand on the story and the universe a little bit more. There's a lot of questions that are still unanswered by the time you finish the main story. So I wanted to explore a little bit more of that with this content patch. So this content patch features another dungeon, a whole new overworld area, which is casino themed. So we have casino games there, like we have slots, and of course Coin Pusher, which is definitely a casino game and not a Dave and Buster's.
Hell yeah! I want a pachinko machine in there, man. Come on, can you do that for me?
We've got
Can you do that for me?
we've got a violent roulette game that's coming up soon. I'm excited for that one. We can get it finished.
Those words excite me. Violent roulette. It just excites me. I'm not sure why, but it excites me.
It could be a fun time.
So Benny Lee said new DLC, kind of, yes, but it's free. We're throwing it in with the main game because we enjoy working on it, and the Harvest Valley idea.
Stardew
Valley. Yeah, Stardew Valley, where you just kept throwing new stuff in there to keep getting new players. That's kind of what we're trying to do on that.
Yeah.
And more is more. Plus, we love working on it, so.
Yeah.
Why not?
Anybody out there that was on the fence of buying this game, just think about what you're getting now. You're already getting 15 plus hours of content, and now you're about to get more downloadable content. So go get the game.
So at the rate you guys are going, I mean, y'all just added new content. Do you guys plan to add further content in the future? And if you guys do, are y'all going to continue to stick with the same price point?
Yeah, so the price of the game probably isn't changing. If anything, we like to do a lot of sales and stuff, so over time the price may even go down. Yeah, I mean, this is like our major passion project. We just like adding stuff to the game because it's fun. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We'll likely be adding stuff to this for even years to come.
Well,
yeah.
And you guys mentioned earlier that this thing draws a lot of inspiration from the Final Fantasy games. Mm-hmm. And the newest Final Fantasy game they just came out with, they're doing a similar thing where they just continue to add on content to an already finished game. Seems like you guys are kind of going that same route, and it seems to be working. So,
yeah. Which Final Fantasy game, by the way? Is it
the 7 remake one?
Oh yeah, yeah, where they made it like chapter based.
Yeah, and they're still coming out and adding content on top of a already completed game. You know, so that's kind of sounds a lot like what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Benny Lee says in chat, love what you guys are doing with the constant updates. I've already bought it to show support. Definitely will recommend. There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Benny. You're the man.
Absolutely. Thanks,
appreciate
Benny.
it. Yeah, I mean, I just want to say that, I love, developers like you guys that just keep putting, effort into these games, and you just don't abate, because there are developers out there that do put games out and then they're done with it. They've gotten anything they could out of it, and then it's gone. And sometimes a complete game is a complete game, and just here it is, here's my game, it's great, and here it is. But I mean, you guys aren't done with it yet. You're still doing it. You're still making it great. You love the game just as much as everybody else who's playing it loves the game, and you just want people to enjoy it even more. So, that's why you're doing, free downloadable content here. What's the plans, guys? What's the plans for the future for Overrun Games?
Well, it's likely extra content for this game is kind of going to be a side thing. So just, in our free time, if we come up with a new quirky idea, we'll probably...
I've got a few.
There you go. You got to have something.
Yeah, we'll add it to Arcaxer because it's fun. But in addition to that, we do have some new ideas that we're starting to prototype that we can't really talk about yet because it's still very, very, very early stages.
Wait. You can tell me off there. I won't tell anybody. I swear to God. Hey guys, as long as you break the news on here sometime in the future, I'm all good.
Oh, I'm down. Yeah, definitely.
We'll let you know. Hype is a great thing.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well,
no, I mean, I couldn't wait to see enough from you guys. I mean, everything you guys have put out so far has just been really, really good. And you got a market that hasn't really been hit a lot on in VR in general, but especially on the Quest and the Quest 2. So, yeah.
Yeah, and connecting you guys with our community is the best way to do it, I think. So
super happy we love talking directly to people.
Yeah, and you know what? And this is an open invitation to you guys. Anytime you guys have anything that you want to promote, you come on here anytime you guys want and do that, because
awesome.
we want to bring as many of people that we have, we want to bring them to this game because we know it's that good. And we see a lot of games. You guys know that. A lot of people come to us and want to put their game in a group, and we see a ton of games. And very rarely, number one, that we put the time into any game because we don't have a lot of time. And Nick Quinn and myself, Nick Quinn more than me, but have put a lot of time in this game, and that's just because we enjoyed it so much. And
Oh,
if we actually take the time to put into a game, it's good. Trust me, because normally we just can't.
I don't know, and I got a bad
Appreciate
habit
it.
of trying to finish games that I really like, and y'all have so much content, it's hard to finish.
I have the same problem. My
Yeah.
backlog is so big for stuff I need to finish.
Oh my god.
My favorite early review for Arcaxer is always just you guys killed my battery. We
Yeah,
hear it really often.
Yeah. I needed 4 battery packs to get in there. Yeah, for sure.
That's
For
a
sure.
great game
So-
with plenty of content. So
what do you think, guys? You want to give away one more key? I know Aaron has to go, and Anthony might stay with us a little bit as we finish up our show. We got a little bit more to go, guys. We have some other things, and we're going to give away a shirt too, guys. We're going to give away a key right now, but then we are going to give away a shirt. And Nick, what does that shirt look like?
here we go.
No, it looks so good. Let me hold on. I got hold on.
Oh, you're wearing the Skrillex shirt tonight, man.
Oh,
Comes in gray. Nice.
Yeah. So just so you can see, so Nick doesn't have to stretch out. There we go, right there.
nice.
All right, guys. So we'll give one away. Anybody, any color you want that we have available, just let us know that whoever wins, just let us know the size, and we'll get it ordered up and send it to you. But yeah, we have one of those giveaway as well, and with a key. So let's give the key away real quick, right?
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I guess we'll go ahead. This was a fairly easy one. You guys can get this. So, we've been having an interview for the most of the night. What is the name of the developer studio that we have been interviewing tonight? First person to answer in the chat gets the key.
Who's gonna get it?
Beat Games.
Is it B Games again?
Cloudhead.
It's not Abraham Oculus, right?
Abraham Oculus.
Yeah. So a couple of shows ago, we asked who was the founder of the Oculus Quest, or the Oculus, not Oculus Quest, but who was the founder of Oculus? Fairly straightforward question. I mean,
Yeah.
and you think you'd get Palmer Lucky right away, right? No, I got Abraham Oculus.
Abraham Oculus.
That is 100% an Anthony joke.
Yeah,
That's
right.
my guy.
Although
Todd Jackson
Ribs
says
is
Skrillex.
close.
Skrillex.
Ribs is close. That's our
So
publisher.
close.
Yep.
Hey, James.
James got it.
Who got it?
There it is.
Hey, Roots got it. Congratulations,
And he-
Roots.
And he wants to
Overrun
hand it
game.
on over to Radio Run.
Oh, look at that. There you go.
We got some generous people in chat tonight.
Yeah, nice job, guys. Nice job.
Good job.
Overrun Games. They are amazing. Anthony and Aaron, and thank you guys for being here and doing this with
Appreciate
us.
y'all coming on.
Yeah, it's always fun to talk to you guys. Always fun to watch the live streams too.
Yeah, I mean, we've met a couple times live now getting ready for this, and I think we've had almost as much fun doing those as we did here tonight. Because I mean, just coming on here before, we were laughing our asses off a bit before we came on here tonight. So it's just good to get on and talk to some people and that are just good people and that that are like-minded and doing passionate things that they love, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is nice.
Yeah.
So congrats to Radio Runt and to what was it, Jason Ward that won the earlier game key?
Yeah, but he's going to hand it over to Alex Ribs for his
To Alex.
community.
Okay, yep.
Yep.
Congrats
So, yeah.
to Radio Runt and Alex for winning y'all's
Yeah.
keys.
So Radio Runt, just give if you either give me or Nick a PM, and we will get you the key. And same thing for Alex, we'll get you guys keys. And again, everybody, whoever's going to get the game, if you could have them go over to the number on the Discord for Arcaxer, and then go to the store and give it a review and give it a 5-star because it's that good.
Oh, absolutely.
If you
It
think it's a
helps-
5, oh yeah,
And it helps the developers. That
Absolutely.
helps them there.
It's a big help, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed that show. A big thanks to Aaron Lutz and Anthony Garcia from Overrun Games for coming to talk to us a little bit about their game Arcaxer. If you enjoyed that show, please be sure to click the subscribe button, and if you want to catch the after show where we discuss what's going on in our group, make sure to click the link over here. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time.